John? Get the next one. We got a new microphone system here. We're going to experiment with a little bit.
Mine's okay.
Hello?
Turn it. Push it
Up, down. You're not working. All right, we'll use the other one.
Use that one. There you go. Try again. Push it.
Okay, now it's working. Okay. You got it now? Oh, great. Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't help myself.
Sometimes it's hard for a lot of people in the back to hear, and we had that other microphone system, and it weighed about 1,000 pounds, so we quit using it. Now we got this one, so hopefully it's going to work. Thanks everybody for coming tonight. It's a good meeting. A lot of stuff is going on. A lot of stuff's going on with the microphone.
It needs to be in front of you.
Okay. There's a lot of stuff in Springfield, and Kelly Kavanaugh was going to be here. He's going to talk about, basically they had a semi-truck full of ammunition that they exploded, and he had a video on it and was going to talk about that. And he's running late at work, so we're just going to have an open forum, and those normally work pretty well anyway. So, first, is anybody here who has never been here before?
Carl?
I was 30 years ago.
Okay. Where are you from?
Joliet.
Okay, well, we're glad you're here again. But let's not make it once every 30 years. Ed was at Front Sight. Every year we take a trip to Front Sight, and this is the first year I had to miss, but Ed was there, so he can talk about that a little bit.
That was my third trip to Front Sight. First two times I went with Doug, and the third time this last 4 days with Lee Grow-Herring. And they're still talking about Jeff Gregorick over there in blue when he went there for his time. Front Sight is a firearms training facility. They do about 50,000 students a year. Very professionally run, and it's run for people like us. So it's very extensive, it's very safe, and they have a high instructor to student ratio. But what the best part about it is they make it fun. You learn how to shoot accurate, then you learn how to shoot fast, and then you do fun exercises. They have a contest to see how high you score. Then they set up targets. And there's a target where you have a hostage metal silhouette, and then there's the head of the hostage taker in yellow, and then there's a red assailant in the far corner and a blue one over here, and they have two sets of that. They team you up, and then you have to draw fire and kill the hostage taker first, and then the red assailant second, because he's the second most dangerous, and then you got to do the third assailant, and you got to do it faster than the person you're shooting against, and you can't hit the hostage. And people get really excited and start shooting fast, and the hostage took a lot of hits. Surprisingly, there was a woman there from Utah that made it to the final rounds, where it was just her and one other person. And the instructor had to do a magazine replacement for her, and he failed to seat it, so the clip fell out, magazine fell out. You get slapped on the side if you call a magazine a clip over there. I've been slapped. So she got shook, and she probably would have won it if it hadn't been for that. They'd let her do a redo, but she was just, her confidence was shook. A lot of fun. Then they set up targets, multiple targets, and you got to shoot 2, 3, or 4 people accurately at one time. and stuff like that. Then at the end, they set up a target. It's got a full-size person in the middle and the edges of 2 hostage takers hiding behind their shield. And they line you up, and you have to divulge who your loved one is, and they put that name on the front, the middle person. That's your hostage. And they say you got to put 3 bullets in the head of one hostage taker and 3 bullets in the other head of the hostage taker, and not hit your loved one. And you got to take that target home. Well, I'm married to Margot, and I made my shots real slow and good. The guy next to me rushed one shot and shot the ear off of his hostage, and he ripped his target up. He's not taking it home. But I urge you to go to a front site. It's 4 days of training, 12 hours a day the first day, 11 hours the next day, and almost 11 hours the third day, and 8 hours on the last day. And they're still talking about Jeff there. He described it previously as the best civilian training academy he's seen, right? Any questions?
Where's it located at?
Pahrump, Nevada. Pahrump is a small town about an hour's drive, pretty much north-northwest of Las Vegas. And the road you go down, you make a right turn into the front site place, and they've got over 30 ranges around there. If you miss the right turn, you'll end up dead-ending into the famous chicken ranch. The first 2 times I went there, everybody there, the guys knew all sorts of details about the chicken ranch, but nobody says they ever there themselves. So you could figure that one out. Any other questions? Okay.
Okay, thanks, Ed. What I want to talk about next is a couple nights ago we had a Steve Ballish, who is a Will County board member. He has a yearly fundraiser for ISRA, and instead of having a fundraiser for himself, he has it for ISRA. And we had, I'm guessing, probably 150 people there. It was jam-packed. It was really, really a lot of people. And it was at a place called Ruby Agave, and it's on 159th and Bell Road. And he donated his restaurant, and he donated all the food for ISRA. And it's something he really believes in. And a lot of us guys and girls were here, that are here tonight, were there. And anyway, we raised over $5,400 for ISRA. That was the net proceeds, so. It was really a great event, and it's either a 6th or 7th annual one he's done. And it was a lot of fun, and it was a very good fundraiser. So thank you for everybody who attended. Terry?
I got this one.
Okay.
I have my very own, and I'm trying hard not to interrupt people.
You guys gonna sing a duet then?
Yeah. Saturday, this Saturday coming up is sight-in days at the range. If you're not a range member, you want to get your gun sighted in, or just want to come down and shoot. I'm not sure this is on.
No,
Oh, yeah, it is.
you
I
gotta
just got to talk into it.
There
Yeah. You can do that Saturday. It starts at 10 o'clock. Goes till 3, I think. Kankakee gun shows next weekend. Saturday and Sunday, 26th and 27th. But the most important thing is Tuesday the 29th. Gun Saves Life, one of our competitor organizations, is having a mini I-Goal. So they want as many people to get there as can. They're renting the auditorium in the Howard building, so it only holds about 500 people. They're not expecting, 10,000 like we had this winter. Well, last spring. But if you're not doing anything Tuesday, get 2 or 3 of your buddies and carpool down. It's still the cheapest way to go. I don't think there's any buses. It's only been kind of a last minute thing. I've only known about it probably 3 weeks. So it's important if you can go. They're going to try to do some nasty things during the veto session. And maybe if enough people show up, that won't happen. So it falls in our court, folks.
So that's in Springfield?
Yeah, it's in Spring. You gotta go to Springfield, that's where they're at. You know, the liars and thieves.
Well, actually, they're in Chicago. They just kind of make their way to Springfield.
I understand, but believe me, if they're in politics, they're a liar and a thief. It doesn't matter what party they're in.
Watch it.
Yeah, you thief, liar.
The ones that aren't are usually only stay around a little while.
Okay, Nick, where are you? You want to say a few things, please?
First off, I'd like to thank Terry for qualifying me as a politician, a liar and a thief. After working with him for over 30 years, and first time I ever heard my friend Terry call me a liar and a thief.
Well, you haven't been elected to anything that's letting you stay longer than 4
Thank you.
years.
A lot of you already know me. I've been here before. God,
He broke it.
is the electrician a Democrat here or what?
Oh, yeah, I don't know, are you?
It must be my hearing aids giving feedback. What I want to say tonight is that we have been talking probably as a whole. You guys are probably similar on a similar page as I am, and we've been talking. At least I've been talking to some of my friends who are here about the swamp in Washington, D.C. We all know and figure out that the swamp means public corruption, and we all know and figure that the swamp means politicians who are liars and thieves and politicians who get rich on our tax dollars. What we fail to see and what we fail to recognize is Illinois is one of the most corrupt states in the Union. We have a swamp right next door, and it's Cook County. And we have another smaller swamp down in Springfield. I think 1905 was the last time a Republican was elected to the mayor of Chicago. And when you have one political party that takes over and one political party that stays in power, you ultimately end up with corruption, and corruption means that the fat cats get rich and we pay the bill. I can promise you that if I'm elected as a politician, no, if I'm elected as a Will County executive, that I will do whatever I can to keep the influence of Cook County and Springfield out of Will County. We do not want, in Washington, D.C., we have a certain amount of people, a certain group of people. They call themselves progressives, but in reality, they're actually democratic socialists and progressives. Like I said a couple months ago, this isn't your father's Democratic Party anymore. But we have a group that is trying to change our structure of government, our society, our morals, our religious values, from the top down. I believe that the only way we can stop them is to keep somebody like Donald Trump in office and I hope I don't offend anybody, but I'm going to vote for the man. Keep Donald Trump in office and hope that he continues on his course. You know, it's funny, we have a man that has generated the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years. And a man who has generated the lowest unemployment rate for minorities.
Average.
A man, I'm sorry,
Average.
is my time up?
No.
And this particular group of progressive Democrats want to take them down because if you ever researched how to undermine a society and turn it either socialist or communist, there are certain things that have to happen. And one of the main things that they want, and one of the main things that they want to happen is to take away our guns. They take away our guns, we're no longer citizens, we are now subjects. They take away our guns. What's to stop them from taking away any of the other amendments in the Bill of Rights? They take away our guns, they'll next come after our Bibles. And I happen to be a Christian. This country is founded on Judeo-Christian belief. And I believe that I'm going to try to do my part to stop them from the bottom up. Since they're trying from the top down, and they're using their Cook County influence here in Will County from the bottom up and trying to take over as much of our local government as possible. I couldn't sit by as a police officer, ex-police officer, retired police officer, whatever. I was a cop over 40 years. I used to have hair too. But I couldn't see sitting by and letting these people ruin my country, ruin our way of life, ruin our values. So if you guys could give me some support, I would really appreciate it. I always do what I'm going to say. I think Terry can attest to that. I think Terry will requalify his statement as far as...
You ain't been elected for over 4 years yet.
In Braidwood, I had a pretty good track record. Lowered the crime rate, addressed the heroin problem. The man that ran against the mayor at the last time ran against the mayor because he said the mayor and I were hurting his business, and his business was a bar business, and he didn't have the best savory customers there. So, anyway, Nick Ficarello, running for Will County Executive. Larry Walsh is out. Larry's not running. There's only been one other Republican that's ever held that seat, and that was Joe Mikan. And I just got Joe's endorsement today. I'm also having, now I got to put the pitch out there, I'm also having a fundraiser on the 23rd at Gatto's if anybody's interested. But if you can't make it, or you don't want to spend the money, your vote means more to me than anything. And I appreciate also being a member of the ISRA and of the NRA. Lifelong member of the NRA, and I've been an ISRA member for 10 years?
Probably.
About 10 years.
About that.
And that's my story, I'm sticking to it. And I'll give it back to Terry the Liar.
Nick is the real thing. He's a very, very conservative person. He's very, very pro-gun, and he's had a life of being that way. And the guy who's executive right now is sure not conservative, and he's sure not pro-gun. So we need.
And he's very seldom not drunk. Pardon me?
What is his name? The one that he's running?
What? No, the one that's there now.
Yeah, who is that?
Larry Walsh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Larry Walsh from Elwood.
Yeah. And I imagine Gretchen doesn't exactly thrilled with him either. So, anyway, he is a person that should have never been in office, and he's got his, I think his son is doing something, and he's got all kinds of nepotism he's done also in Will County. He just needs to be gone, and we need to get Nick in there. So financial support and votes for him would be much appreciated by him and by everybody here. So
I know a really highly trained assassin.
No, we don't talk like that.
I won't use a gun, I promise.
After the meeting is over tonight, I have the Guns in November tickets again. And to me, this is the best gun raffle that ever has existed. Tickets are $30 each, and you get 2 sets of 4 numbers, and how it works is whatever the Illinois lottery number, whatever the Illinois lottery numbers are, at noon and in the evening, they give a gun away. And so you actually, I said it wrong, you have 4 sets of numbers, and so you have 4 chances twice a day for 30 days, so it's pretty phenomenal. And then if you choose to buy 4 tickets for $120, you get a chance for a $1,000 bonus also. And I've been selling the tickets for, I think, since 2011 or something, and every year I have many, many winners. Last year I only had one winner, and that was the first time that's happened, but I always have 5, 6, 8 winners, so it's a really, really good thing, and it's for a good cause. So I've got the tickets up here afterwards, anybody that wants to buy them. Yeah, Grant.
Give Gretchen a chance to speak.
Okay, I will do that.
The tickets are for the Three Rivers Friends of NRA.
Yeah.
It's not Doug's raffle, it's the Friends of NRA.
Oh, gee, I thought it was mine.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, the tickets are up here afterwards. It's a very good thing. Over on the table over there, we have some ISRA lens cleaners for glasses and that. And there's a few keychains, and there's several books from the Gun Rights Policy Conference. Terry and I were there, Nikki was there, and of course Rich Pearson was, and
Dave was there?
Yeah, Dave was there, and it was an excellent event, and
92 speakers in 2 days.
yeah, 92 speakers, and it was really good. And as bad as you think things are here in Illinois and California and that, there was a guy from California, and he was so optimistic, and he says, it's hard to believe, but we're actually winning a lot of things. And you just hear of all the bad things in California. I heard, I think it was 5 new anti-gun bills were just signed the other day, but he says, legally they're winning a lot of lawsuits, they're filing a lot of lawsuits. We are too. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But we are very, very dedicated. The anti-gunners are somewhat dedicated, and unfortunately they have a few billionaires who are supporting them, so it's real easy to get anti-gun groups going. And what we have is real grassroots meetings like this, and they don't have grassroots meetings like that. They have like the Moms Demand Action or whatever, and Nikki goes as our spy to some of those things, and she just cringes when she goes to it. But
They're so uninformed.
yeah, they're told lies, and the people that are telling lies, they know that they're telling lies. They don't care. They have an agenda, and unfortunately, they have millions of dollars that are funding them. And we have a big fight on our hands, but ultimately, we are going to prevail if we keep getting more members to join ISRA, and if we keep making donations so we can fight the legal battles that we are, and in our state and every state, and we will win. So we're going to let Gretchen talk here.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you, Grant, for suggesting it.
And Jeff, thank you.
I'm Gretchen Fritz. I'm on the Will County Board right now, but I have been asked to run for Recorder of Deeds. I did talk about that last month. I only got 30 signatures out of this room last month, and I think I can get at least 30 more. So if you didn't get a chance to sign my petition last month, I'd really appreciate it if you would take a minute and do that. Nick didn't mention, he's probably still collecting signatures as well. We both need about 1,200 signatures. That's a lot. So everywhere we go, we have to pick up a few, as many as we can in every room, especially like this. So if you haven't had a chance, please sign. I also have, if you remember, there was a young dapper gentleman who came and spoke here a couple of times, Rick Leib. He is running for Congressional District 11. I also have his petitions if you'd like to sign his. So that is, unless you'd like a county board update, that's all I have to share. I came from a caucus meeting for the county board, and I will say that the Democrats want to raise your taxes, and the Republicans are not big fans of that. And so I plan to vote no tomorrow on the levy that they're proposing, which the rate is going to go down, but they're taking the full CPI and plus new construction. So they're basically raising the tax as much as they can without permission to go higher than that. So they're raising the tax to the limit of the statute. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's good. We've had a lot of growth in Will County, and I think it's good. So that is what I'm going to do for you. And I know there's a few other Republicans that are voting no on that tax levy. Unless there's any questions.
When you say a few of them.
Yes.
I got a quick question. So I was on, you guys talking about or not, but I was told that Illinois, because of their taxes keep increasing, that they're losing a lot of residents that are moving out of state because they're tired of this socialist bullshit. Is that true?
That is true, yes. I can't remember what the,
4,500 a year.
yeah, it's net out population. I mean, there are people moving in, but the net out is greater, and it's one of the highest in the country.
So they don't look, the state don't look at that and decide.
They don't care?
They don't care.
They just don't care?
They don't care.
But it's income. The more people that leave is less income for the state. Right?
They should recognize that, and they should adjust
They don't care,
accordingly,
they'll raise
but
your taxes.
the fact that we're going the way of Detroit doesn't seem to bother them in the least. I mean, that's exactly what's happening, and I'm sure they see it, I'm sure they know about it, they just don't seem to care. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that the gas tax you're talking about?
No. Held all over the county by the various county board members. There's one in Plainfield coming up on the 29th. But again, the thing about the gas tax that is different is that there's no sunset on it. So we don't have to vote, there's no deadline for when we have to vote on it. So we could pass on it now, not do anything, and then 3 years down the road, we really do need to fix something, you know, a road collapses or something, and we could pass a 4 to 8 cents gas tax at that time. That's 4 to 8 cents just for Will County, on top of all the other taxes that are on there. So again, we're intending to vote no on that. We don't know exactly when it's going to come up for a vote, when the Democrats are going to bring that forward, but our caucus is going to vote no.
You should. One more quick one. 80 becoming a toll road. How close is that to happening?
I've heard it floated. I think that the tollway is willing to look at it. They're willing to study it. I think they would love to do it. You know, I mean, the tollway's like, yeah, we got money, give it to us. You know, but I think there are some people who are not convinced that that's the right thing to do. So I can't say, there's a lot of stakeholders in that. So 80 is a federal road right now, so then it would basically be the state of Illinois taking it over. It's complicated, very complicated.
So no time soon then?
No.
So all this construction going on, doing 3 lanes, nothing to do with the toll road?
No, that was planned a decade ago probably. Yeah, those type of projects, it takes decades to make those happen. Very long term. Okay.
Is the bridge going to get fixed? Don't lose planes?
I don't have any new information about that. Again, that is going to be a cooperative project between the Illinois Department of Transportation and the federal government. Will County basically has nothing to do with that. Even though it's in Will County, we have no say and we have no pull and we don't put money.
What was the question?
The I-80 bridge.
Gotta get fixed.
Okay, thank you.
You said some of the Republicans.
Republicans, because the rate is still going to go down, some of the Republicans are planning on voting yes, but some of the Republicans are planning on voting no.
Good.
So we will unfortunately be not voting as a voting bloc on that property tax, and we're probably going to lose.
Okay.
Already planned for November 14th to November 19th. If you want to go on that trip to Front Site, just come see me. It's a good time. It's a real good time. Okay, anyway. So the Department of Homeland Security, I used to work with the Federal Police, and now I still work as a contractor. Anyway, so we have a new presentation for the civilian populace on active shooter. So it's, now you can go right now to Department of Homeland Security, you can go in there and look at videos and handouts and whatnot on the active shooter training. You can actually do just on your own, just with research. So the program that I just got yesterday is new and improved. It's the new one that's not accessible online. It's actually the classes that we give to the tenants of all the federal buildings. It's actually a really good presentation. So I'm going to talk to Dave Lombardo, and hopefully I can come here and do that presentation for you guys here at the at the meeting. So it's a good presentation. It's going to take every bit of the full hour that we have, so it's going to be probably just me up here talking, and it's a PowerPoint presentation, but it also has videos that activate with the PowerPoint itself, and it really gives you a really good idea of what to look for in people, the different signs they have. It also talks about what you can do at your workplace to help prevent observation skills. And it also goes into what to do if someone does come in your place of business, or if you're at a restaurant or somewhere and an executor does come in. It really breaks it down on what you need to do, and not only obviously to protect yourself, but to protect people around you. It's a really good PowerPoint, so I'm hoping I can do that for you guys here. Any questions on anything? Bueller?
When would that be?
I'm sorry?
How soon could you do that?
I have to talk to Dave Lombardo, because I'm sure he already has speakers probably set up for the next few meetings, I'm guessing. But I'll talk to him when he gets back from Georgia. He's in Georgia, right? Yeah. When he gets back from Georgia, I'll talk to him, and then we'll set it up to where I can get that presentation. But it's really good. It's really good. Any other questions on anything? How about those Bears, huh? All right.
They didn't lose last weekend.
The bills, I think some of you got handed out something about SB 1966. That is the dealer licensing bill, and it's going to come up for a vote in veto session, which will be in, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, in the first part of November. And Kathleen Willis and I can't think of the senator, Julia Morris. They have promised that they're going to bring it up, and they're going to try to ram it through. And the bill does no good at all for what they say it's going to accomplish. And what they're really trying to accomplish is get rid of any dealer they can in Illinois. And over 1,200 dealers decided to close their door in Illinois after this bill went through, and they had found out what they had to do cost-wise and what they had to do camera-wise and record-wise, and they just decided it wasn't worth it anymore. And a lot of mom-and-pop dealers, and one of the big ones was Smoking Guns up north, and they've been around forever. And they're a second generation, and the second generation just decided it's not worth being in business anymore, so they're closing their doors down. And that ultimately is the goal, to get people where they're disgusted and don't want to be in business. And this mini iGold is something that Gun Saves Life, they came up with the idea, and they're working with us. We're actually doing a great big part of the work on it, as well as NRA. And we're not looking to get 1 million people down there. What we're trying to do with that is get the Southern Illinois senators to stick with us. If we can get them to stick with us, the thing won't pass. And we think of Democrats up here as usually being, excuse me, anti-gun and a lot of other things. Downstate, they are many of them are very pro-gun. And we got concealed carry because of a downstate Democrat. And he was one that was able to push it through. So we're trying to get the downstate Democrats to vote against the bill, and if that's the case, it won't be able to go to Pritzker to be signed. So that's what the hope of this mini iGold is. So that we'll explain that a little bit, but we just have to hope that it does not ultimately pass. A couple of other bills. There was a guy named Culp who was a soldier that was stationed in Illinois, and he cannot carry a gun in Illinois because he can't get a FOID card because he's not a resident. And that's a discrimination thing. And we have fought that, and we have filed writ of cert, and it's going to the U.S. Supreme Court. The Supreme Court now is gun friendly, and we're hoping that they're going to hear it. They may choose not to, but it would be a great case if we can get it that far. And there's a lot of other cases that we're working on, and they all cost a lot of money, unfortunately. And just like this fundraiser the other night, all that money's going to the legal assistance because it's a tax-free situation, and it will pay for the lawyers to fight these cases. And sometimes you hear our lawyer, who is Dave Siegel, they say, oh, he's a loser, and there's one person in particular who does on his website that he always knocks ISRA and knocks our lawyer. But if you go to Dave Siegel's website, you look at all the wins he's had, it's phenomenal. And gun-wise, he's won 16 out of 17 cases. So he really does a fantastic job. He's not a loser by any means. If he's a loser, I'd like to see what a winner is. And anyway, we're doing many cases with him, and they're going to, well, do you might know which one's going to the Illinois Supreme Court, Ed, by chance?
Well, he just argued the case about the FOID Act, Vivian Brown. And it's on the website of the
Illinois Supreme Court videotape of the arguments. And I read the briefs on the matter and actually watched the videotape of Dave Segal and the hapless Assistant Attorney General. And Dave did a much better job of answering the judge's questions and couching his arguments. And the hapless Attorney General had to defend some stuff that was not defensible. So who knows what they're going to say. They sometimes take orders from Madigan. But Segal did a better job than his opponent on that case, and it's still pending.
Well, anyway, we're having a hard time legislatively. We have people like Margot that fight very hard for us, but unfortunately the Chicago machine and Madigan and Cullerton, they really rule the state, and Pritzker's a willing puppet for them, so we have a hard time that way. But lawsuit-wise, we do very well. Unfortunately, it's a slow battle to win these cases. It's got to go through the regular court. No matter who wins or loses, it'll go to the appellate court. Then no matter who wins or loses, it'll go to either the U.S. Supreme Court or the Illinois Supreme Court, depending on where the case was. So, does anybody have any questions or any comments you'd like to do? Yes?
With the dealership law, you need an injured party, right, before you can take that to court, right?
Yes.
And it has to be passed, and then somebody has to be affected by it, and then they have to bring the case.
We have several dealers who are waiting in the wings for this, so.
If you're a dealer, you're an injured party.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Another one too, there's a new Senate Bill 337, I believe, where they are going to require every FFL to have a license plate camera, and you have to capture every license in and out of your parking lot.
Wow, I didn't hear that.
That's just come out. But I think, I'm not sure, but I think it might still be in committee.
It's 330, Senate Bill 337?
337, I believe.
And so they want you to have a camera out in your parking lot to get license plate number?
Every license plate, yes.
Okay. Well, it just shows they're just doing everything they possibly can to give gun owners and gun dealers as hard of a time as they can, and hopefully get people just to throw in the towel. And I hope that they find that we're much more determined than they are.
More and more every day are throwing in.
The what?
Morris Gun Shop closed up. B&S down in Morris.
Oh, wow.
Marty's closing down.
Yeah, Marty Basham. Yeah, it's not good. We need to write our congressmen, call them, donate, do whatever you can to protect our rights. This is really an unbelievable situation. And talking about political parties, ISRA is theoretical. It's non-political. We are one issue group, and it's the Second Amendment rights. And if any party, any race, any religion, anything like that is for guns, we're with them. If they're against guns, we are against them. And what has happened, as I see it, with the Democratic Party, when you think about liberals and conservatives, there's really a lot that they have in common. And what has happened to the Democratic Party is they have, there's some right-wing extremists, but the Democratic Party as a whole, you listen to everybody that is up on these presidential debates, they are beyond extreme. It's not the Democratic Party that you used to know. I have a good friend who is a ISRA member. He's been to Front Sight with us. He is a liberal, and we talk about stuff, and we go to breakfast or lunch occasionally, and we have interesting conversations. And he's not an extreme liberal. He's liberal, and there's a lot of things we disagree with, and we laugh about it, but there's a lot of stuff we agree with. But what's happened now, they've just gone so extreme, and whatever views they have, it's just amazing. They want illegals to vote, but they don't care that we vote. They want illegals, or they want felons to have the right to vote. And anywhere you go, Pelosi just had something, and you had to have a photo ID to get in her event, but she doesn't want a photo ID to vote. And it's just so, the hypocrisy is just amazing with things like that. And that's what's happening. They have really hijacked the Democratic Party, and it's scary. And then, like Antifa, anything that goes on, they are just not just arguing. They're fighting. They're throwing urine on people. They're throwing paint on people and stuff like that. And you don't hear any conservatives doing the same thing. Like when Obama was president, maybe some issues happened, but I didn't hear of a single issue where anybody burned a car or broke windows down or anything like that. And I think the liberal Democrats didn't do anything like that, but it's just gone so far left, it's really scary. And the first thing every one of those presidential candidates do is they want to take away our guns. And after the guns are taken away, then anything can happen, and we have no power to stop them. So, anybody have any other questions or comments? Or
Hey Doug, I just want to touch on your Front Sight and that. Does anybody get their email alerts on Front Sight?
Not anymore. How can you not?
Go to their website, sign up for the emails. They're very informative, and one of the best thing he does is he puts a video in every one of them, and for the most part, and that video will involve a firearm incident, and they will critique what was wrong, what they should have done, or what was done right in them, and they're very, very interesting to watch.
that's a very good point. I've had many people tell me I get so sick and tired of him sending so many emails. You don't have to open them all. If you don't want to read one, you just hit delete. Some people complain. I get that ISRA sends out too many emails, and my reply to them, I try to be very nice to them, but it's just, you don't have to read them all. Just hit delete if you don't want to. But on the other side, you get many people who say we don't give them enough information. So with Front Sight, he just can overload you with them, but I get a kick out of reading most of them, and he says this is your last chance, and then 3 weeks later it's your last chance, and it goes on forever. But it's interesting, and I've actually talked with him many times, not for the last couple of years, but he says when he does that, the last chance, a few people do it. Then your last chance, a few more do it. So by doing the repetition, he gets a lot more people to join or donate, whatever he's trying to do. So it is a very effective advertising thing. And anybody who's been out there, you see the videos, what he's done with that place is just absolutely amazing. And eventually he's going to get a hotel up. I don't know if it'll be in any of our lifetime or not, but it really is a fantastic place. And look at the videos if you want, and then when you get too many of them, just hit delete until you want to see one again.
gun dealers bill that has been terrible. And what's the new one? What additional things will it do? You said there's a new FFL restriction that they're going to be voting on.
This 1966, Jeff, you handed those out, didn't you? That blue sheet, is it on everybody's table?
There's at least 2 on everybody's table.
Yeah, a blue sheet should be on your table. And it explains a lot of what, well, here I can, a lot of what it does do and a lot of what it doesn't do. I'll just read you a few items on it. There's 5 items it doesn't do. Background checks, it doesn't go through multiple law enforcement databases. And if an individual lied about a felony conviction, it's not addressed. And law enforcement's not mandated to share information, nor required to suspend or revoke a FOID and remove firearms from ineligible citizens. That's not addressed. There's a couple more things that aren't addressed. And the costs go way up on it. Then they want fingerprints and more checks on you, so it's just a lot more expenses, and it's not really going to solve anything in the way of preventing gun crimes. All it's going to do, and I really believe that the only thing they're wanting to do is just make it so hard for dealers and so hard for gun owners to have a gun that you're just going to say the heck with it and it's not worth it anymore.
Where's the one where they want you to have a background check to buy ammunition?
I don't know which bill that, yeah, they want a background check. They also want to, I think it's called microstamp every single bullet. And I think that's coming out of California somewhere. And microstamp every bullet. And then they're trying to charge you another charge for some kind of other additional charge for ammunition. And again, that's a discrimination thing. So they're just throwing everything up against the wall that they can throw up, and if they throw 50 things up and 1 or 2 stick, then the next 6 months they throw something else up, and it just keeps tearing away our rights just one little bit at a time.
We need to throw something back.
Pardon?
We need to throw something back.
Yeah, we need to. We need to.
What's a bill that's just as outrageous?
Well, Margaret tried to get a bill, didn't she, where judges were able to carry and
Judges and prosecutors.
yeah, and
Everybody's required to carry.
say what happened with that, Ed?
It didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
State Representative Margot McDermott twice submitted bills for consideration to give judges and prosecutors the right to carry. Sometimes these judges are in the crosshairs, and they got to walk from the parking lot into the building. They can't, even if they have the carry concealed, they can't do that under the law. They could keep the gun in the car in the parking lot, but that's it. And there have been cases where judges, and even much more rare, prosecutors have been shot in the confines of the courthouse. So both times Madigan sent it to a committee and ordered it that those bills die there.
And as much as they are anti-gun people, I just can't imagine they would be against having a judge or a prosecutor to be able to protect themselves. They're protecting us from all the criminals and therefore are a big target, and it's just the way they are. But we do need to be very vocal. A friend of mine, Linda Ward, she used to come to these meetings, and she was from Evergreen Park. It's just too far. She hasn't come for years, but you guys know her. She sends me a lot of articles that she, letters to the editor, to the Southtown Economist, and she actually has a number on because she's recognized as a person, but if it's anything that is pro-gun, they won't print it. And other articles she do, and because she took experiments to see what they'll do, and whenever it's pro-gun, they won't print it. And so she puts it out on her email, she sends it to some of her friends, and we send it out, and hopefully it gets out a little bit that way. But we have the media, obviously, as well as many politicians fighting us, and it's hard thing. I mean, look what happens with Trump. They're trying to get him not to tweet, but the only way he gets anything out is by tweeting. And Terry's got something.
Yeah, I got a couple things.
Anyway, they just do everything they can to control us. And the one thing we have ultimately to fight back, if push ever does come to shove, is our firearms. So, okay, Terry.
How many people would, let me get out from in front of there. How many people watch ABC News? Anybody? Did you see the firefight that they tried to put on as happening in Syria?
Oh, yeah.
That actually happened at Knob Creek in Kentucky? That's why they're called the Lion News Media. We hear a lot of talk about George Soros. Does anybody know who George Soros is? A lot of you. George Soros is an 80-year-old plus billionaire. He destroys countries. He buys currency and resells and stuff like that. Back when he was about 16 years old, he was a war criminal. He went around in Hungary, I think, might have been Poland, Hungary. He went around to the houses and pointed out, there's Jews hiding in that one. There's Jews hiding in that one. And all those people were taken to the gas chambers. He should have been exterminated in 1946, and he's still here today. Now he's trying to do us. And he's got enough money, and his kids are just like him.
24 hours a day.
It's going to happen. They're going to try it yet.
He paid for the buses and to bring the Central Americans up to the border.
Yeah, most of the people that came up, he's paying for the buses and bringing them up here through the border. They just turned back a whole mess of people from Africa and other places that are coming up through Mexico. The Mexican government did that. There should be a big drop this next time they report it. They're not getting them all, of course. That's something else I wanted to say, and now I forgot it.
That comes with age. It's okay.
Hey, I am old. I'll bet there ain't 20 people in here older than me.
How old are you?
72.
Oh, jeez. Young whippersnapper.
There's a few, not many.
Well, look at this. There's not a single young person in here.
Gretchen.
Well, I'm talking about somebody in their 20s is what I'm talking about.
Gretchen's in her 20s.
Okay, 29, right? My grandson often comes, and Ryan, his friend, usually comes. He didn't get off on work on time today, but they're an exception. They're both in their 20s, but there's very few young people coming here, and that's what we really need to do. We need to get young people coming to these meetings, going to iGold, seeing their senators and that, and at the fundraiser a couple nights ago, there was my grandson and Ryan were both there, and there was a couple other young people there, and not many though, but we really need to nurture them to make them aware how precious our freedoms are, and at some point we're going to be gone, they're going to be holding the torch, and I hope we can give them a big torch to hold on to. So, and we're talking about the illegal aliens coming across. Brian, I think his name is Colfidge or something like that. He lost his legs in the war, and he has raised, I think, over $23 million now for building the wall. And if you just Google "build the wall," and you'll see his articles, and they have a company called Fisher Construction that they couldn't build them on the public land at the thing, so a lot of private citizens are letting them build the wall there. And it's 18-foot high wall. They have sensors that go down 40 foot if people are trying to dig under the wall, and it's a cement paved road that goes all along it, and so the border security can drive along there. It's absolutely fantastic. I've donated a couple times to it, and they're building a wall where they say we can't. The federal government says some places it's too hard, we don't want to do it. they're actually building the wall. They've built many miles of walls already, and if he can keep getting private money, they're just going to keep building the wall, and the people who are against it are ultimately going to lose because it'll be being built on private land. Anything? Yes.
For anybody's information, there's a book out now called The Ship of Fools. It's written by Tucker Carlson. Read it and see what the hell we're going through right now, what was happening before, and what he's predicting for the future. It's a good book, easy read, but good.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. Would probably be a very good book. So, okay. Anything else? Yes.
While we're signing petitions, since we got a few more minutes here.
Yeah.
Get up and sign them now.
Okay. Well, we'll do the gun drawing here.
Yep. And we need
And
to
then
do pass the hat.
So where's